don't forget, if you've missed any of the show, and boy, have you missed the first hour if you've just tuned in, you can subscribe and download the SENWA Breakfast Podcast, 63 on the Apple Podcast, 263 on the national rankings.
63?
63.
Is that out of 65?
That is out. Why do you say that?
Because it's better than
It's out of 200. And that's just, but there's more than 200. It's just 200 top.
Right.
And we're the number one radio station podcast catcher.
Okay.
And that's including Nova, Triple M, down the road, whatever that, Channel 9 Radio, ABC. That's all of them.
Mm.
It works.
So who's in front of us? Who are we chasing? Don't worry about who's behind us.
Well, there's two ahead of us that are WA based, but they're not radio stations.
Okay, so we're chasing them.
Hardball Gets and Backchat. But that's all they do. They don't do radio shows. So the reason why our show is significant on the rankings, Adam, self-indulgent as it is our stuff's already been heard. So
so repeat.
Correct.
Okay. Cool. Good to know.
Thank you.
Is that what we're here for?
Yep. To be heard twice.
On Simo and Goss for breakfast. Coach's Call.
Righto.
When you coach again, I'll be your media manager. Which I don't care. I'll go anywhere, anytime. All right, that's the type of guy I am. I even like Tassie. All righty, here we go. Let's go through them. I've said that. We can move on. All righty. A 24-point win to Hawthorn over Carlton. We're going all the way back to Thursday.
Yeah, we won't spend a lot on these games this week. There was the drama was more around the fallout of some of these games. This one was uninspiring, I thought, from Hawthorn. They should have really put Carlton away. They had an opportunity. They started so well. So they lose the clearances by 14, Hawthorn. So typical Carlton at the moment. They win the clearances, they win the contested possessions, but they get beaten on the outside. And in the end, the turnover game was too good from a Hawthorn point of view. 9 goals 4 off turnover to 4 goals 3. And Cal Shadir, he's got an extra hop in him. So just when you think you've got him, mind you that the Carlton defenders, young defenders, trying to mark everything at the moment. So there's a lot of wriggle room around all that. So yeah, in the end, Hawthorn did what they had to do, but I thought they could have put another 3 or 4 goals for that very, very important percentage.
The conversation is they've got 4 tools. Marbu Chol going out at the wrong time. Mitch Lewis comes back in. Mm-hmm. I wonder what he's going to feel like, Marbu Chol, if he doesn't play in a finals camp. If they make it, we've got him missing anyway. But
I think you make your own luck, don't you? So if he gets squeezed out because he hasn't been playing well enough, that's on him. So good pressure to have.
Alrighty, 93-point win. The Bulldogs all over the top of Essendon. Essendon's injury toll continued. Here's Brad Scott after the game.
When things are going really well, you get a little bit of reward for effort, and you get a little bit of little bit of feedback on what's working well. But real improvement comes through difficult times, and no one enjoys it. It's hard, but when you do hard things, you improve as long as your attitude's right, and that's where we've got to spend a lot of our time just making sure that our morale stays as high as it can be, and we keep competing because we're not going to concede.
Why has the transformation come for Aaron Norton over the last month? It's been incredible.
It's a good point. It came at the halfway mark, at halftime of the Sydney game up there. For whatever reason, I think it was a week after the bye. I remember it. I was like, what's going on here? And then Darcy came back. And so the combination of the two. So
13 goals.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And Essendon, I mean, that's all you can say if you're Brad. There's not much you can do. There's 4 weeks to go. Make it fun. Try and, celebrate the little things during the week. The scoreboard's got out of control. I mean, they've kicked 13 goals, 8 off turnovers, the Bulldogs, and it's come from everywhere. So, it was a difficult night. It's going to be a difficult season for Essendon. And like I said to you before, they're going to forget why his win-loss record's like it is in 2 or 3 years. It'll come back to bite him, unfortunately.
GWS kicked 12 goals, 8 in the second half. Sydney kicked 1 goal, 2. Dean Cox.
For the first half, we played a really, really smart game against a very good footy team. We pressured well, we were good around the contest. Ahead of the ball, we took our opportunities. And then the second half, they ramped up their pressure. They outnumbered really well. And then they restricted our entries when we went in there really well, and then they scored too easily. To go 67 and 62% of the time scores per inside 50 in a half, third and fourth quarter is too high.
How do you reckon Coxie's going?
He's got to find a balance between being a bit doom and gloom and be up and about. But I think okay.
Yep.
I think okay. They've had some injuries that have hurt them at the wrong time, but their good is good in games, and then their bad is strange.
Yeah, I think there's some issues with their list, mate. Yeah, if you ever hear Jared Healy talk about Sydney in their list, I don't think he's pretty in touch with the Swans, and I think he's got concerns with the top end's pretty good, but I think their key position players is a fair worry. I mean,
oh, no doubt.
So contested marks, for example, I mean, it's disappointing. There's only between 20 and 25 a game, but they've had 14 more contested marks. The Giants, they've taken 15 marks inside 50 to 3 for Sydney. So as much as Sydney dominated that first half, the tolls are a worry.
Have been Amati, Hayden McLean, McDonald hasn't been there. Down back, Melican struggling, Hamling's the fill-in.
Yeah,
McCartan's not there.
So they're chasing surely in the off season some of their tolls to complement their A grade.
Tom Barras, they could have a go at him again. They
could.
They went hard on him.
What about Stringer? He's going well, isn't he?
Yeah.
3 goals, 2.
Yeah, terrific.
And Cadman, what a master stroke that was in the draft to go, no, we're not going for the best mid. We're going to trade up and we're going to get Cadman. So he's kicked the 3 as well.
We're doing this thanks to Hungry Jack's, the all-new Eggs Benny, only at Hungry Jack's. This is the coach's call. Just in quickly, and we touched on it earlier, but GWS now go to try to survive, and we've got them making the final.
Try to survive. That's a good, instead of...
Drive to survive. So Kelly's done a calf, Buckley's done a calf, so they've got Aaliyah will come back in, and they've got a few mids that can come back in, so there's no doubt. And Green gets suspended. Not a smart move by dropping the arm on Heaney and going into such a big game this week.
Yeah. And, you'd be critical of Harley Reid for doing stuff like that. You got Green still doing it, So,
yeah.
And he's been an All-Australian captain. So, yeah, it's a massive game this week, this one. You think the Bulldogs, they have not won against top 8 sides. So, despite all what we're seeing, they've still got to get it done, the Bulldogs.
The Suns flogged the Lions in the wet by 66 points, 11 goals. I want to hear from Chris Fagan first, and then I want to hear from Damien Hardwick.
We had a game to forget in a way. Like, we haven't played as poorly as that in a long, long time. And credit for that goes to the Gold Coast Suns. I'm not sitting here saying it was just us. They were on and we were off.
Yep.
And then Damien Hardwick took his press conference to another level. I really like this, actually. And, again, I think a lot of
Why
stuff...
was Rowell in there?
Because it was he won the medal, I think.
Oh, okay.
So I think he just threw him up
Sure.
there. Anyway, but he was good, Rowell, wasn't he? Wow.
Not in the press conference, but yeah.
No.
It's so awkward having a player in the press conference, by the way.
7:11. This was Damien Hardwick talking about Jared Witts.
Can I make a statement about Jared Witts? Can we start having a conversation? I watched an article, I watched TV the other day that had a list of ruckmen that are in the mix. Go and have a look what our guys done to all those guys. Start having the conversation about how good this guy's become. These guys should be buying him coffee not only every day.
I agree.
He's been unbelievable. So just have a deeper dive into it and see what he's sort of actually become.
That was Matt Rowell saying,
I agree. A bit like me in my special comments.
48 hit-outs, 13 disposals, a couple of marks, 4 tackles. He's a bit of a general in there.
Yeah, well, he is, and he's bringing Rao, Anderson and Farini and those types into the game. So, they've kicked 13 goals, 5 from clearances on the weekend. They had an extra 735 metres gained from clearances. So it was a midfield dominance. They kicked 7 goals, 2 out of the middle. And that just hasn't happened to Brisbane. So interesting how Fags handled his press conferences. Like, I haven't really spoken to the players yet. They normally bounce back. So I'm assuming that's what's going to happen next week. So, they've got Collingwood at the G next week. The toughest run home is Brisbane.
You've said that several times.
So, yeah, it was without Tuke Miller after a really poor performance where they got kicked in the nads or whatever he said in his press conference the week before to come back.
Kicking the nuts.
It's kicking the nuts. Well done, Chris. It was a good response. So now we're looking at Brisbane's response next week.
All righty. West Coast kicked a couple of early goals and you felt like it was going to be okay, but then Fremantle got on a tear and at quarter time they were already 4 and a bit goals in front. It was a 49-point win. Yeah. Justin Longmuir wasn't all that happy post-game.
I think we did what we had to. A bit frustrating, especially probably first half. I thought we played the game the way we wanted to play. Territory, 30 inside 50s in the first half, and we just couldn't hit the side of a barn, especially in that second quarter. 1 goal, 6, 2 out on full. Soft goals late, which took a bit of gloss off. So it was a bit frustrating, but thought we stuck at it and in the end did what we had to.
You know, your trigger words. Everyone has got a trigger word, a bridging word. What do you reckon Longies is? Yeah. Can you play that again?
I think we did what we had to. A bit frustrating, yeah, especially probably first half. I thought we played the game the way we wanted to play. Territory, 30 inside 50s in the first half, and yeah, we just couldn't hit the side of a barn, especially in that second quarter. 1 goal 6, 2 out on full. Yeah, soft goals late, which took a bit of gloss off. Yeah, so it was a bit frustrating, but thought we stuck at it and in the end did what we had to.
We've all got one. You've got one. I don't know what it is.
Absolutely.
I've got one.
Mine's absolutely.
Is it?
Oh, it's just annoying.
Mine's wow. That's not wow. That's what I seem to say when I've got nothing to say.
Wow.
Wow.
Alrighty.
Anyway, with the game,
yes,
just to finish off on the game,
Yep.
this is West Coast issue as much as it's Fremantle's strength. So I mentioned earlier the profile of what Fremantle can do. It used to be just clearance based, but they had that. They've had 10 goals, 8 from stoppages. They've had 10 shots from the front half from clearances, and then they had 6 shots from the back half from turnovers. So if you can do both those things, that's brilliant, because then you can come into a game going, we can win in any way we want to win. We're going to want to be good at everything. So they're in a healthy state. They did what they had to do, but I reckon they left probably 4 goals on the table.
36 scoring shots to 17.
Yeah.
Andrew McWalter agrees with you.
Fairly convincing by Freo in the end. Well, not in the end, probably for the whole game. I think the scoreboard flattered us probably for a fair chunk of that game. We know the problems we've got. We understand that. And I think you saw a Fremantle team hungry in a position where they're going to fighting for finals, and their class probably just overwhelmed us.
They just got to get Hall. He's not winning enough of the ball, so they're backing him in, playing him on ball, and then at halftime they pushed him out in the wing, put Baker on ball, and there's a better probably response around that. Elijah Hewitt's not a big possession gatherer at the moment. Thought he got knocked out there for a second, and he bounced back up in the end and came back on, which was great. So it's too much on too few, unfortunately. And Flynn, he was okay. I've been critical of him a little bit in the past because, when it's him versus Nankervis, okay, you got 2, but when you're going against 2, and Bailey Williams, when he comes in, we're not using that advantaged hit. It's going to the oppo too much.
What do they? I know they can just go back and they're going to get picks for Oscar Allen. They're going to get the first pick, and they're going to get, if they get rid of Harley, they're going to get 19 picks in the first 8.
Get a few.
But what do they need? And I threw it out again yesterday. I know he's at the back end of his career, but Jake Melksham is getting year by year deals. And they've got Jack Graham and they've got Liam Baker. Do West Coast still need some of that type of player on their list, or is that just Band-Aid stuff?
I'll tell you who's the best trade of all time in the last 5 years. And it's because how do you get leadership into your club? It looks like there's a young team there that's growing, but the leaders haven't been playing, to be honest. The injuries have got in the way of on-field leadership. You can't deny that. Dunkley was a great get to Brisbane because he just brought this leadership and maturity and honesty. And I think Baker's done a bit of that, and Graham's the same. But then he complements Lockie Neal and McCluggage and these guys. So that, plus the father-son debacle that's happened from Brisbane, debacle, the benefits they've had. So, if you're going to get a player in, I think the leadership. So Melksham will fill a hole, but I'd rather fill a hole, but the leadership hole as much as the talent hole is probably what you'd look for. That's a guess, mate.
Yeah, I just don't know what, as a football club, if they do lose Harley Reid, then
depends where if they were to lose him to a club where you go, hey, give us your 5 first rounders and this guy.
Well, Essendon's going to be the team.
Nah, I think Harley wants to win, mate. I think if
I
he
agree,
wants to leave,
but Essendon's
Harley,
got all the chips.
Yeah, but I don't think if he
Geelong
ever
pay?
goes.
Because that's the other.
Hawthorn was the one, wasn't it?
Is it? Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows?
After losing Barras, I would categorically refuse to trade with Hawthorn if I was West Coast. Anyway, that's my opinion.
Yeah.
101 points Geelong over North Melbourne. Let's hear shocker. Here's Alistair Clarkson.
What we don't want to get caught up in is the hysteria around results. We know where we are as a footy club, and right at the minute our depth is being tested, particularly in our back end, where a lot of our guys our more senior guys are out injured, which means that the middle of the ground is super critical, like we said.
Well, he's right there. So They're playing a system, just to explain it without trying to justify anything. They're when you defend, you can either be back shoulder, play behind your man, and be really stoic with your defence, or you can be stand in front of your man and actually be proactive so you can support the next contest. So it's about the ball, not your man. But when you play in front like North do, and there's no pressure up the ground, this is what happened to us. We were proactive defence, and then the pressure up the ground started to drop off. So McGovern and Barras and these guys suddenly are way out of position. That's what's happening to North at the moment. So when the midfield's not doing what it's meant to be doing, the ball just goes wherever it likes to. So, yeah, that doesn't justify Cameron kicking 11, and they've had 20 turnovers just in the centre forward area, Geelong, and they had 12 shots. So there's Cherry going out of the side is massive. It was almost a kilometre difference in field position from clearances, and yeah, unfortunately, it was a really tough night and difficult for Clarko to spin that one.
No Larky as well, but the ball wasn't getting down there anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much, does it?
No, and their defenders, a bit like Sydney, that's the biggest hole. And yeah.
Do you have concerns about Port Adelaide's future?
Are we up to Port, are we?
We are now. We've moved on.
Okay.
100. So they 98
by the way,
points
losing by 98 points and 100 points. We did that for fun for 2 years. So I know what it feels like to be in the desperate sides of let's be competitive, not win. Let's just be competitive. And it's really difficult to do it from a long period of time. Like we lost by 100 points plenty of times in the last couple of years. So I'm not detaching myself from what these coaches are going through. It's just difficult. Like you're not going to play for your coach in a showdown. We said this earlier, didn't we?
He's sitting in the back row now. I think that's also a message.
Yeah,
but the handover's gone, and he's just sitting there and sort of overseeing it rather than coaching it. It looks like it's a Josh Carr team right now.
Yeah, and that's so the question about the rebuild's a really important one because Melbourne have got to ask the same question too, don't they? Like, there's 14 premiership players still playing for Melbourne. They couldn't get over the line yesterday, and Port didn't get the ultimate in the last 5 or 6 years, but they've been pretty close. I mean, they finished second last year in the home and away. Second. So to be in this position now where they've got some injuries as well, and now they're going against their local rivals where they're up and about, injury-free and ready to go.
It's definitely a sign of where the two teams are. I mean, clearly one team's on top of the ladder tonight, I think, and the other team's battling to get to the line each week with a few different reasons, whether they be injury or whether they be performance. And tonight they both come together, and you end up getting beaten badly in lots of fundamental parts of the game.
At the start of the year, we both had Adelaide 3rd and 4th, I think, when we did it. Yeah. I think they've exceeded everyone's expectations.
I had to start. We did the ladder predictors around 10 or something, and there was a lot of home games for Adelaide, and they traditionally start well, and they did. I tell you who's the most underrated player almost in the comp is Keys. He kicked 3 goals, 4. I don't know what he's done this year
because he's a nutbag.
Is he a nutbag?
Oh, just the way he carries on. I love him. No. I think he's a. What
is a nutbag, by the way?
Just someone who is all a bit chaotic. A bit chaotic. I'm not mentally unstable, but the way he goes about the game, it's all or nothing. He hits every pack. He's turbo.
Yeah,
I love him.
He's one you'd look at getting. I'd rather him than Melksham.
Okay.
Where he might bring some, really good speed and power,
yes.
And he just knows how to hit the scoreboard. And he sometimes plays like he played on McGovern and play him from behind and do all the things that they do on Gov, and then he'd still kick 3.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan too.
Yeah, he's. I don't know what his whole year looks like, but every time I see the stats, he's had score. But I don't know how many goals he's kicked this year, but it'd be over 20 for sure.
Collingwood did a job on Richmond. Serviceable. 6 goals. Dacos is going to get the coaches' votes again. Oh, that's right. He always does anyway. He'll get the coaches' votes from Craig McRae. He'll get the Brownlow votes. The Brownlow medal is all but over. Nick Vlaston was gallant. And in a tough team that's been under the pump, Nick Vlaston continues to excel. What did you make of this?
Yeah, those players, Vlaston, broad, short. We saw it last week, and Taranto didn't play, he was a late out right before the game started. And Harry Edwards, don't forget what happened with him the other day as well. But yeah, it felt like how we feel about Collingwood right now.
They're a bit off. They're not the same.
No.
They're not the same. But you said that it was coming. Scotty, even to his credit, Scotty Cummings sitting here, he felt that there was a bit of a fall coming, but maybe have it now and then get ready. But they're going to have to try and win it from 4th.
If their fall is they've lost 2 games by under a goal, and then they didn't dominate this game.
They could play Adelaide in the first round in Adelaide.
Well, whatever the first one's going to be, it's going to be tough, isn't it? But yeah, you'd rather be playing Adelaide at the MCG. I wonder how many goals better Adelaide are at home as opposed to at the G. So you're 4 or 5 goal difference. So, yeah, they did what they had to do. And Dacos, Adam Uze got interviewed before the game. They said, what are you going to do with Dacos? He said, well, we've got plans. And he said, last time we had the same thing and he'd had 12 touches and kicked 2 at quarter time. So that plan didn't work. And the same thing happened. Did you see that goal he kicked on his left? It was just a whatever type of goal. Was it something you do at training?
He's a beautiful player, and he's going to be the favourite for the Brownlow. 31 goals for Keys so far this season. Yeah, he's a key component. We'll get to a lot of text. We've had a lot of text from people wanting to buy into this chat. We're doing it for Hungry Jacks. Of course, craving something fancy on the fly. Hungry Jacks has you covered with the new Eggs Benny. And the game that we've all spoken about, we spoke about ad nauseum at the start for those who have just tuned in. If you want to find out what we said, and we had Dean Margetts about the 666 rule, don't forget, support the show by subscribing and downloading to SENWA Breakfast. Listen to those chats. It's not just the whole show. You can listen to bits and bobs as you go. But it was St Kilda in the end, 9-0 in the last quarter. Quite remarkable. And part of it was also Clayton Oliver running into an open goal and not even hitting the scoreboard when he could have gone over the top or at least hit the scoreboard.
Yeah, and he kicked banana belly. He could have just kicked it on his left. I mean, that for 3 quarters though, Melbourne were just, it was the old background game on, wasn't it, on a Sunday Arvo? It's just, okay, flip between the 2 games. They're both irrelevant to what's going to happen for the year. And 46 points at 3/4 time. And then dealing with momentum is going to be a really interesting. I'm going to try and dig a bit deeper about how do you do it? Because right now, not many teams are handling it too well. Even Brisbane on the weekend. So I think they had 20-something inside 50s at 3/4 time, the Saints. And then in the last quarter...
At 25 to 3/4 time, they had 18 in the last quarter. 25 to 3/4 time, they had 18 in the last quarter.
Yeah, and, the last quarter, 95 possessions to 67. Wanganeen Miller's had 10 possessions, 6 score involvements, and kicked 2 goals and had 3 inside 50s. So, and then on the flip side, how this team with... it must be at least 12 to 14 premiership players haven't handled not the last minute, but the last quarter. The run on.
Yep.
To go, okay, let's do something about this. It's a concern.
The coach's call, thanks to Hungry Jacks, the all-new Eggs Benny only at Hungry Jacks. As we go to the break, this was Ross Lyon's post-match reaction to the remarkable, the biggest ever comeback from 3/4 time. And who could believe that a Ross Lyon team, which plays with handcuffs on, would kick 9 goals in any quarter of football?
Yeah, there's a lot of contributors, but everyone lifted, to be fair. I mean, Az has played some great games this year without everyone lifting, and it makes it really difficult. So when you're coming from behind, as our coach taught me, you've got to do everything right and you've got to take your opportunities, and clearly we did that, didn't we? I think we've created history, haven't we? I was like a little bit watery when Naz took the mark. I think it's just that emotion of, just for the players, just for them.
Simo and Goss for breakfast. Between the lines.
Between the lines, where Simo just dissects what people say. Where are we going?
Well, I want to talk a bit about momentum. Like, teams can't stop it now, can they? Sorry, mate.
Enough plucking hair out of his jumper.
And on the weekend, it didn't matter whether it was Sydney or Brisbane or obviously Melbourne yesterday. There's some of the messaging that, let's listen to Dean Cox and what he had to say about the 3rd quarter, the 9 goals to 1.
Part of some of our entries into our forward line, certainly early in that third, fueled their game and allowed them to run and carry and torch you on turnover. And then we allowed them to do it, and they took that opportunity. You just got to be really predictable to your teammates. So connecting close, don't fuel any of their stuff, try and keep the ball off them for a period of time, equalise your forward line. Then when you play one behind, they chip it around, you try and re-equalise it, and then they score. You try as much as you can, but in the end, we need to make sure that we're better in those situations.
Yeah, so, what's he trying to say there? There's some rules of engagement with handling momentum. So there's like 4 or 5 things that you can try, but I don't think they're working for most teams now. So it used to be +1, and that doesn't matter what league it was. Then it would be hit outs in close, so keep it tight. Own the ball a little bit, play skinny. So all those type of things don't work at the moment. So, yeah, dealing with that, well, Melbourne went through it as well. So the inability to handle it, I think there's going to be an evolution I reckon there's some teams out there who do it well. I don't know what Collingwood do, but I think Collingwood do something different to handle momentum. It's not an extra behind the play. Not that they've had to deal with it too often, but what did Brisbane do? I'm going to look into that this week. What did Melbourne do and what did Sydney do? There's something there that's not working. What have you noticed?
Well, no, just a bit of feedback from someone who's connected to Collingwood about the way McRae handles these things and everything, and apparently they're heavily schooled in this. Whatever situation you're in, it is the percentage play. So what is the percentage play in this situation? And that is what you're going with. Yeah. And the players are really drilled on that. And maybe you see when panic sets in, when momentum, and we saw it more than anything probably in that GWS Sydney game, and probably again with Melbourne and St Kilda last night. Players stopped doing the percentage thing, and so that's a real
that makes sense.
That's a real default setting with Collingwood. Go back to that. What is the percentage thing? Play that.
So for example, centre bounce, the old defensive triangle, and try and bring the ball back and just keep it tight. Don't let it get out. If you're going to kick down the line, Jack Darling was our best at this. Just punch it out of bounds. Even if you can mark it, don't worry about trying to mark it. Just get a spoiler. So there's percentages, and the predictability piece is what you go with. But when you're rattled, it's really difficult. And Melbourne got rattled yesterday.
Duff, before we let you go, I'm going to ask you a question. If you were in the spotlight of coaching, would you take Melbourne, North Melbourne or Carlton? With where all three clubs are at. If a job became up, Melbourne, North Melbourne or Carlton?
North Melbourne on list. Okay. And I don't know why they're not better. Carlton, I think the list is out of whack. Melbourne, I think, is about to tip over. I think Simo picked that earlier on. I think he's right. But North Melbourne, you look at the midfield and then you look at if you play Comben back and don't muck around with him in attack, you've got Larkey forward. So you need maybe three players. You need another mid, you need another tall back, and you need another tall forward. And then you've got something.
What about Port?
I'm such a fan of Port's midfield. I'm biased with Port, and I keep overrating them a bit.
What happens if they lose Butters?
Then they've got to get Wengen and Miller.
There's actually, it's a good, there's probably, subjectively looking at Sydney, Port Adelaide, Carlton, Melbourne, and you can throw North in, that what's happening to them next year? Are they going up or down?
Could be some jobs available. All righty, Duff, you're in after 8 o'clock.
I'm after your job, mate.
All righty, yep. Mate, you know what? It's available. Mark Dufford in after 8 o'clock. Love it. After 8 till 10, of course. Don't forget, support the show, his show and ours, by subscribing and downloading to the SENWA Breakfast podcast and Mornings with Mark Duffield.